the centre bounce.
Through the middle again. Guess who? Again, Harley Reid. And he dashes and had 2 bounces. He now is going to have a third. He's been chased by Petrarca. Don't tell me. Yes! Tell me it's Harley at his best. Harley Reid. He is a bona fide superstar. 3 bounces.
Well, this is something we have never seen before. You can argue forever that Reid is or isn't the best first-year player ever, but there is no arguing about the brilliance of these 2 pieces of play. No 18 or 19-year-old has come straight into the AFL against grown, seasoned players and ragdolled them, let alone 2 superstars in Christian Petrarca and Clayton Oliver, who have quietly joined a growing list of players on the Reid Fend Off mixtape. His pure football highlight reel is already that of a player who has played multiple years in the competition and has had the time to build up strength and speed. It's so unique to see a player with hype not only match it, but I think it's fair to say exceed it to this point. The stats back up what we are all seeing, and it's not just Reid who is giving the Eagles a newfound sense of momentum, which is growing quickly. No one can ever be sure of a draftee until they play. With Reid and Gold Coast Jed Walder specifically, the classic man-child concept was in play. They were just so much bigger and stronger than most 18-year-olds that they could ragdoll most of them. But obviously in the AFL, everyone is now your size if not bigger, and it can lead to a delay in impact. Early on, it was unclear how Reid would go. The club said they would ease him in to a defensive role with some midfield time, but after an extremely quiet practice game from him against Fremantle, in which he looked lost in the back half, the tactic changed. They let him go and play, and this has been the result. His 3.22 broken tackles per game leads the entire competition and has nearly doubled the amount of midfield balls in Jai Newcomb and Luke Davis-Uniacke. Again, this is a 19-year-old kid. It goes a step further. In Dustin Martin's Brownlow season of 2017, he totaled 68 broken tackles in 22 home and away season games. It's an average of 3.09. So believe it or not, Reid in his first season is on track to surpass Martin at his peak for breaking opposition tackles. Again, we have never seen this before. For impact on games, Reid is also at the top of other modern day young guns. He doesn't get as much of the ball as Nick Dacos or Sam Walsh did, probably won't kick the 29 goals Connor Rozee did in his first season, or match the running ability of Errol Goulden, but when Reid gets the ball in his hands, he does serious damage. At the time of making this, his 13.87 player rating is higher than all the recent stars who came in with similar impact. It's 4 points higher than Nick Dacos, 2 higher than the Bont and Petrarca, and 4.5 points higher than Sam Walsh. He isn't off the charts higher than these players, but the margin is significant enough to show the impact he is having. However, one of his teammates might be having just as much, if not more of an impact on the field as Reid, and he has literally come out of nowhere.
Marking target, Waterman's going to get a free. They're so worried about him, but it's your day. It's your day, and he is right on. He's got 5 before this kick. Brings it out to the right, but it straightens enough. It's a superb 6 for Jake Waterman.
Who would have thought that 26-year-old Jake Waterman would be well in the hunt for the Coleman medal? No one would have. His previous best goal tally in a season was in 2022 and set at 18 goals. He is likely to double that previous tally by the halfway mark of this campaign. What makes his rise to the top of the leading goal kickers even more surprising was his 2023, where he battled serious illness. Before a game against the Crows in Adelaide, Waterman became increasingly sick, following on from having lingering symptoms of something. He was quickly diagnosed to have ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune condition. He was in pain and just wanted to feel like himself. During this period of time, he lost 12 kilograms of weight, and although he tried to run and train here and there, the condition forced him to take his time. Before the start of this season, in December 2023, his ABC article did note the quick improvement after falling ill. After a slow and steady recovery, Waterman eventually returned to full training and is impressed with his condition. He won the endurance time trial and was celebrated by his coaches as being among the Eagles' best trainers. This form has clearly carried into this season. He's the highest rated key forward, has the stickiest hands in the sport right now, and has become the Eagles' primary forward weapon. From a third tall type of player who was in and out of the team, then to battle serious illness and regain weight, to now being a star player. The story at this point is even more remarkable than Reid, and the energy Waterman gives to the fans with his huge clunks is equally important. Now, it's unlikely the Eagles will get on a run to sneak into finals. They probably lack a few players in their best 22 and still have some injury woes. However, one big part of what makes them a difficult matchup from now on is Optus Oval. Their last 4 AFL games at the venue have resulted in 3 wins. A 39-point win over Richmond, a 37-point win over Fremantle, a close 6-point loss to Essendon, and then the big upset over Melbourne. Away games for them will still be an issue, but travelling to Perth is no longer that automatic win people thought it may be at the start of the season. It's something Adam Simpson knows and is clearly reinforcing to his players and the West Coast fan base. I think we're getting harder to play against at home, which is always the first step on a rebuild, Simpson said on Sunday night after their win against the D's. We're trying to connect with that crowd as much as we can, and I think it's a real advantage. If we get 50,000 rock up, it doesn't matter if it's Harley or First Gamers or McGovern. We think it's an advantage. They aren't just challenging the bottom sides at home, but sides in the top 8 or ones with a realistic shot to get in. Brisbane have to face them in round 18 at Optus, Gold Coast in round 21, and Carlton in round 23. They might seem irrelevant matches right now, but don't be surprised if the Eagles have a major say in the formation of the final series. Their over-under win total for the year was set at 4.5 and currently looks an easy total for the club to pass come season's end. Reid is the marquee man who has reinvigorated the senior players and fan base, and with a lot of help from Waterman, are turning the tide for the West Coast Eagles Football Club. Things can change quickly in the AFL.